Yes, welcome once again, everyone. Cannabis news with Joe Klare. It is December 28th, 2018. I continue to be a little bit under the weather. Continue to fight it. I continue to be here for you to make sure you get the cannabis news you deserve. Presented as always by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org or click the video tab at marijuanatimes.org to find the show. Today, talking about a new bill, possible bill in Massachusetts that would change the way employers are allowed to treat those who test positive for marijuana. Also, Southeast Colorado, kind of a marijuana desert, if you will. Now getting some marijuana businesses. We'll talk about that. Also, new stats out, new data out for Florida. And medical marijuana in Florida. Before we get to all of that, of course, cannabis news brought to you by NatureSide, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free. Don't use harmful chemicals. Don't use banned pesticides. Don't use things on your plants that are going to harm people who are ingesting those plants no matter what you are growing. Grow safe and poison-free with NatureSide. Nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. They're awesome. Side, of course, spelled C-I-D-E. Go check them out now. This is, we're nearing the end of the year, and I kind of teased a little bit, maybe a kind of a recap show today. It's also episode number 300 of Cannabis News, so it's another milestone in that way. And I was kind of thinking, well, maybe I have some best moments I could play, maybe some of the more popular episodes, things of that nature. In the end, I decided against it and decided to just do a regular show because this show, the way this show is, it really doesn't lend itself. It's really not an episodic type of thing. There's no plot line. There's no, whether you started watching the show 17 or you started watching the show 258, it doesn't matter. Each show stands on its own by itself. I still could have done some kind of best moments type of thing, but you know what? What we do here is we bring you the news. Sometimes the stories are a little bit older because I have a point to make about them. Sometimes the stories are newer. Sometimes it's breaking news. Sometimes things just happen just before I started recording the show. Sometimes it's something that happened a week and a half ago. Each show is its own entity, and you can go back and watch NEM. You can go back and watch show 58. You can go back and watch show 200. It doesn't matter. You get the flavor of what was going on that day. And what better way to celebrate 300 episodes but by continuing to do that? So that's why this really isn't a review show. Of course, I take the opportunity, as I always do, to thank everyone who's got us this far. You all sharing and liking and commenting on the videos. Our audience is growing. Our YouTube subscriber base is growing. All of those are great things, and I'm always sure to thank you all for that. That haven't been said, the show, and I'm not to say that we don't talk about things or update stories that we've done in the past. We do that all the time, and I'll briefly mention that we've done this story before and what was going on before. Little brief recap, and then we'll get into the new information. But for the most part, this show is just each little episode is a little pod of information let out there. It doesn't matter what order you watch them in. It doesn't matter which one you saw or how many you missed. You don't have to go back and catch up. You can just start with the new one. It just doesn't matter. And that's the way the show was set up, and that's the way it's evolved. And that is why we're going to the news. This first story from Julia Granowitz at marijuanatimes.org. Proposed bill would prevent companies in Massachusetts from firing employees for off-the-clock cannabis use. In Massachusetts, a bill that's still being drafted aims to clarify the issue of marijuana use and employment, making it illegal for companies to fire employees that use legal marijuana on their own time and treating it the same as legal alcohol consumption. It would, however, still allow workers to be fired for using the drug at work or coming to work impaired from cannabis use. This could be hard to prove, as THC can, of course, linger in your system for weeks or even months. After using it, there's some concerned workers will be wrongly terminated because of this. This is not intended to be a blanket protection for people to use cannabis whenever and wherever they like, said Senator Jason Lewis, a Winchester Democrat, a state senator in Massachusetts. And continue, but as long as they're not impaired and it's not impacting their work, employers should not be able to discriminate against them in hiring or promotion. And companies certainly should not be terminating people simply because they legally use marijuana on their own time, which is absolutely true. If someone smoked a joint or 6 the night before and they come into work and they're not high, they have THC in their system, they're doing their job, they're doing it fine, they're doing it well, they're doing it the same, they always do it, then, who cares? Just because they have some THC in their pee means nothing as far as their ability to do their job. Obviously, this is a point we've made, activists have made for many, many, many years. What's the saying? You should be judged by the quality of your work, not by the content of your pee. So paraphrasing, great philosopher at some point. This next story from DenverPost.com. Dramatic change is expected in former marijuana desert of southeast Colorado. I know what you're saying. You're saying, hey, I took geography in high school. There's not a desert in southeast Colorado, and you would be correct. They're not talking about that kind of desert. They're talking about a pot desert, a place where no marijuana could be legally purchased. For miles and miles around, it was the southeast corner of the state, a wide swath of fields and farms where US 50 cuts through small communities such as La Junta, Las Animas, and Lamar. That wasteland for weed is beginning to transform into a cannabis marketplace of sorts 5 years after the state's first marijuana dispensaries opened for business. That would be recreational dispensaries. Starting with Rocky Ford, there was a lone dispensary opened its doors in late 2017 to the pot shop that opened less than 3 months ago in Ordway. Residents of Crawley and Otero counties can now score a joint or a bottle of edibles. A bottle of edibles? I guess like gummies and stuff could be in a bottle, but that's really just a clunky phrase. Well, it was such a clunky phrase that it stopped me from reading the story to comment on it. Could have just said score a joint or some edibles. I don't think a bottle of edibles really covers the gamut of the possibilities. They couldn't score a bottle of edibles without having to drive an hour to Pueblo, Colorado. That convenience will soon spread even deeper into the plains to Bent County after residents in Las Animas voted last month to legalize recreational marijuana sales. So basically a bunch of small towns that kind of opted out in the beginning of recreational sales in Colorado have now seen the error of their ways. They need tax revenue. They need economic activity. They need tourism for people driving through, maybe from like Oklahoma or Texas or other places going to Denver or someplace else in the state. Maybe they want to stop in. Maybe they want to score a bottle of edibles. You never know. And you get a hankering, for a bottle of edibles. You walk in and say, hey, I need a bottle of edibles. Stat. They love that. It's kind of comedy they love at retail shops and dispensaries. Get me a bottle of edibles. Stat. This last story comes from Florida, from PNJ.com. Number of Floridians using medical marijuana continues to grow despite a bumpy rollout that, of course, we've chronicled on this show. That has drawn lawsuits and criticism from legislators. A new report shows the number of Floridians using medical marijuana continues to grow, as was pointed out in the title of the story. In the first 9 months of 2018, more than 136,000 patients across the state received certifications from 1,070 physicians to receive marijuana. About 41,000 of the certifications, or nearly 24% of the overall total, was for post-traumatic stress disorder. Those 136,000 patients got 174,000 certifications, meaning you can get certifications for more than one ailment if you have more than one ailment. So things continue to grow. Some of the roadblocks have gotten loosened in Florida a little bit. The patient registry continues to grow. The supply does not grow at the same pace, but there are some places in Florida where you can get medical marijuana. There's still some lawsuits pending. There's still some fights over smokable marijuana when it comes to the medical marijuana program. Ramping up for 2020, maybe some recreational legalization push in Florida in 2020. Who knows? We'll see. And we'll continue to cover it all here at Cannabis News. 300 episodes. Thanks, everybody, for 300 episodes. Here's to 300,000 more. Yes, I know that would probably take hundreds of years, but I don't care. Because by that time, I'll be dead, and you can't call me on what I just said. They say, remember that guy said 300,000 episodes? That was dumb, but it won't matter because I'll be long gone. And you'll have the bounty of my work in digital form forever, or something along those lines. Thanks, everybody. Thanks you to Natureside. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Great articles. This show as well. Click the video tab at marijuanatimes.org. Thank you all for watching and listening today. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week right here on Cannabis News.